And we're back. Sorry about that. And right now you are actually truly in time for Women at the Forefront, which is a segment that we get to bring you different women in the society who are doing amazing things in the fields that they are in. And remember, this segment is usually with the intention of empowering the next generation of women. And today our woman at the forefront is Faith Mwaura. Faith Mwaura is the business manager, Stanbic Foundation. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a delight to be here with you today.
All right, let's get into trying to just inspire the next generation of the woman who's watching us right now.
Right.
And we want to just get to understand, you know, as our topic of conversation is breaking barriers and trying to make a difference. That is what we'll be looking at mainly. So how about to begin with your journey into becoming who you are right now? If you can just briefly take us through that.
Yeah, and you're right to say it's been a journey. And I always say it's never a destination. Every day we keep on learning and we keep on evolving. So my journey with Stanbic goes back a couple of years ago. I'll dwell on that and even look at other leadership roles that I've had. And from one person who never did finance in school, you know, people think that bankers did something to do with finance or something. I never did that. I'm actually a student of leadership and I'm a student of communication. So from such a background, I joined a financial institution. There was a lot of learning. So one of the things about this journey is be willing to learn, be willing to unlearn, be willing to relearn. And that is what my journey has been. I've been able to go into different pockets of the banking industry up to now that I moved on to the philanthropy world. It's been a learning journey. And thank God for people who've been there to handhold me, people who've been there to correct me, people who've been there to guide me. So when I think about leadership, I look at it as a journey, and every day be willing to learn something. Yes.
And I love how you put it. You said you need to be ready to learn, to relearn, and to unlearn.
Correct.
And it is all about that,
Yes.
you know. And there's also a point you've made that you've had people along the way who've been holding your hand. So if we can just speak about, you know, the role of mentorship in all of this.
Correct. Mentorship is inevitable because someone said sometimes you don't have to encounter some mistakes because somebody learned through those mistakes and you can learn from that. So mentorship has been very key for me. And allow me to mention about one mentor who's been most recent, and this is a tribute to my boss who rested in the month of July. Recently, I was just giving a story of, you know, the first time I met her and the passion she had in the philanthropy world.
It was a her.
Yes, yes. 4 years ago, I met her, and I remember the first day listening to her for like 30 minutes in amusement. And I'm like, I want to be like her. She spoke so passionately about giving back to the communities, about touching lives, about being there for the vulnerable people in the communities. And I was in awe. First of all, from her speech, and I loved how she spoke. And then secondly, from her passion. Like her passion was, you could feel it. And 4 years later, I am in that space because of mentorship, because of someone who held your hand, because of someone who put you on their shoulders and gave me opportunities to speak and gave me opportunities to be able to share. And so that's the role of mentorship. Number one, you have to be willing to be mentored, because it doesn't mean that you know everything. You have to be willing to be mentored, to be corrected, and the mentor has to also be willing to give you opportunities to expose you to spaces. And so I am glad that I've had such mentors. So a tribute to Pauline, who was there for me, and many others. That's just one of them. There have been many others that have carried me on their shoulders, and I'm forever grateful. And so what I do is also give back.
Yeah. And I love the fact that the mentor that you've just, paid tribute to is a lady, and there's something I always love to demystify when we're on this show and I'm with women. I love to demystify the saying that women are their worst enemies. So I would love for you to also just speak on that a bit.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of that being said. I have had very many opportunities of women lifting me up. One of my favorite quotes says, "Here's to great women. May we know them, may we be like them, and may we raise them."
Yeah.
And so, what you focus on grows. So I don't focus on women being their worst enemies.
Yeah.
I want to focus on the great women that I have met that are out there to say that, yes, as women, we can lift each other. We rise by lifting one another. We don't rise by putting off the candle. We rise by lifting each other. So I will say, here's to the great women who raise others. May we know them. May we be like them, and may we raise them.
I love that.
Yes.
And a candle never loses its light just by lighting the other.
Exactly.
I would love to understand the work you do, or what is your role in as the business manager for Stanbic Foundation?
All right. So Stanbic Foundation is the philanthropic arm of the bank. Our work is really to give back to the communities. We have identified our impact areas, and so we know the spaces that we are in. Key for us is economic empowerment. We are a financial institution, so it's very safe for us to be in that space. Financial inclusion, enterprise growth, and job creation. We also do a lot of education, specifically digital literacy, because the future is digital. And so we look at empowering different people to really upscale their digital skilling. And climate is also another area. It's global warming has become a real thing. The program before was talking about climate financing, and it's because it's become the problem of our generation, and we have to find out how can we deal with that. So those are some of the pillars. Those are actually the pillars that we deal with. We deal with at Stanbic Foundation. What is my role is to really intertwine all these things. Stanbic's promise is Kenya is our home and we drive her growth. And so how do we put all this together, remembering that promise to be able to drive the growth of Kenya? Allow me to dwell on economic empowerment, because that's our largest pillar. The initiatives that we have there, the impact that we have there, we have been able to be there for micro and small enterprises, those that are considered unbankable, being able to do capacity building and training, as well as access to low-cost credit, and handhold that micro business to be able to be bankable. So these are some of the things that we have done, and specifically for women. Currently, we have a program where we're really looking at the bottom of the pyramid, at the micros, who have never, some of them have never even had a bank account because they think we're not there yet. But being able to handhold them, giving them the training that is required, understanding what does it take to have a bank account, train them, and then also the discipline of borrowing and paying back. Because a lot of times when you think about banking, the lending aspect is there. So I intertwine all these things, making sure that our compliance is on point. Stanbic Bank is regulated by Central Bank of Kenya, so we have to ensure that we don't go against the regulator. So compliance is very important for me. Governance is very important for me. And risk. I will say my risk perspective may not be the same as my counterparts in the bank, but it's important to count the risk and how you're going to deal with it. And so I work closely with my stakeholders in the bank to ensure that those areas are watertight, that we are not breaking any of those guardrails to ensure that the work we are doing has integrity, it has sustainability in it, and not forgetting the impact that we're looking for.
Yeah. And I want to go back to one of the pillars that you've mentioned you're about, that is the economic empowerment. Yes. And, you know, just to get to hear from you, the role of financial inclusion, specifically in driving gender equality, because you've mentioned you work with those that feel that are not even bankable, you know, right? Women who don't even have bank accounts. Like, just what is the role of financial inclusion in driving gender equality?
That's a very good question, Vivian. So we're living at a time where, of course, trade is everywhere we go. And we have really evolved in that space. Look at mobile banking right now. Look at the international cards that we are holding. And so we've been able to cater for the people, let me call them affluent, that are able to afford that. However, we have a big demographic that is not there yet. In Kenya, we are considered to be really ahead of time because of our mobile banking and the telcos that are in the country that have been able to do that. But interestingly, when you look at our demographics, and if you allow me to say the women specifically, the accounts being held, we're not seeing their names. As a bank, we have a proposition called DADA, and I remember when we were doing just the market survey to see what is happening there, the women in the rural do not even have a bank account, leave alone the collateral that the financial institutions will be looking for. So our part of financial inclusion is to let these people at the bottom of the pyramid know that with your national identification, you can open an account. You no longer need collateral to even access, you know, credit. We have to be able to allow that, of course, with limits provided, so that you grow these people. Let them get into the system. Let them learn the system. Because sometimes if I tell you the magic of MasterCard and you don't even know how to have a card, you may not understand. But if I give you a taste of what it is to bank and the benefits and the things that you can do, then you can grow with us. So the role of financial institutions, I think, let's try as much as possible to ensure that those that have been called unbankable, how can we make them bankable? Because that's where the future is. You need a financial partner.
And even speaking on that, I want to link it with a partnership with Bill and Melinda Gates, whereby the foundation, you have a target of reaching around 5 million women. So how do you go about that approach? And who are these women that you're targeting, the 5 million?
Okay. First of all, it's a very ambitious goal. And for such ambitious goals, you have to be ambitious, but at the same time, humility. And when I talk about ambitious, is being aggressive. Where are those women? You know, where can we find them? But at the same time, listen to what the ground is saying. Listen to what their pain points are. And to answer your question, where are these women? We're getting out of the urban areas. We are going to what we call mashinani, because they are there. They are the caretakers at home. They are the ones who do the market. You know, you go and that's where they are. All they know is what we used to call mattress banking. How do we introduce banking to them? As I said, listening is very important. And as we listen, we also train them. So we've been able to get into various counties. And for us, public-private partnership is very important. We've been able to partner with county governments that are the gatekeepers and mobilizers. I don't know where to find the markets in Vihiga, but by partnering with the county government, they are able to tell us. And different places have different market days, for example. So that partnership has been very critical for us to enable us to get there. The ambition is still very big, but we have made some headway. We've been able to meet many of them through our trainings. I think we've exceeded the 50,000 mark. And so it's work in progress. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with that one step. I'm glad we've made not one, not two, a few steps ahead. Yeah.
So it's open to every woman out there?
Good
for
question.
Someone who would love to come on board in one way or the other?
So let me be very specific. So this is the foundation. We are open to the bottom of the pyramid, and let me say they're unbankable. And I don't want to create a picture that it is every woman. We have women who've been able to do banking and are at a level higher that they are already bankable. Remember, my target is unbankable. Even the credit we are offering, some of them will come and say, that's very little to me. So I'm looking at about 5,000 to 49,000 Kenya shillings. There are women who need above that because they've been in the space for a long time. But for the starters, the mama mboga, the lady who owns the kiosk there, you know, that credit of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 will go a long way to uplift them and help them become bankable. So I want to be very clear that it's really the unbankable, the bottom of the pyramid, and we want to get them into the banking system.
All right. Now I'd love for you to share a story with us, you know, share a story of a woman whose journey, you know, you've watched, and a woman whose journey has stuck with you.
Great. In this, I have met many women. I will narrow down to this one lady who came for another program. We offer grants of up to 50,000 50,000 USD. And these are businesses at the growth stage. And what they need is technical assistance, maybe a few internal things to make them scale up. So it's a competition, they have to apply, and then they come for the competition. There are judges there to listen to their stories, and then we're able to select. So this was my cohort 1 of the partnership with the United States Africa Development Foundation. And this was the only female who got to win in that cohort. Out of 7 winners, we had 6 men-led businesses and 1 woman-led business. Guess what kind of business it was? It was in the health sector. She was very passionate. She is in Mombasa, and she had a clinic called MediTrust in the middle of informal settlement, let me call it that way. And her passion was to really have a maternity, because she saw young girls and other women in this community really having a hard time during that period. Yes, they would come for the clinic, but she didn't have room for them to give birth. And her passion, her storytelling, wowed the judges. And I remember paying a visit to MediTrust in Mombasa, just seeing the passion that this lady had for this informal settlement. Happy to report that now, because of the grant, she received 50,000 USD. And the beauty about this grant is that we also give you technical assistance. Struggling with some, you know, bookkeeping or just some people matters, you know, she was able to take care of that. She now has a beautiful maternity that has a bed capacity of about 20 beds. And not only that, she's been able to scale up, partner with the county government. The other day, she was a winner in a competition in Mombasa County. And you go there and you feel the pride of seeing how dedicated. This was in 2021. 4 years later, that place has transformed, not only for her as a business owner, but the impact in that community. I went there and I met families, some of them bringing their little children, others, you know, bringing the pregnant mother to have a very decent place to deliver a child. And that touches me. And Pamela is very passionate about what she does. So when you empower the woman, I always say you empower a community. You empower the people around her. And that is what Pamela has done in Mombasa.
And my next question is kind of almost tied to what you've just talked about, because my question is, you know, why women leadership, you know, and why is it so crucial, you know, to have women take up leadership positions, especially when it comes to managing impact-led initiatives?
Okay, that's a good question. I must say that it's even not necessarily about gender, but it's the heart posture. And the thing about it is, especially in that impact area, is that you realize there are many needs in our community. And so we cannot afford to say this is a woman thing or a man thing. All of us are called into that. However, by nature, women are nurturing, you know, and so some of these things maybe hit so hard to us. We are caregivers naturally, not to say that men are not. Men are equally caregivers, but you will find women more so there. I'm careful to say it's not really gender-based, it's the posture of the heart. What moves you? I am moved by the needs of the people around us. Actually, some of the things that give me sleepless nights is to think, oh my goodness, I heard about that need. How can we fulfill it? Where can we get partners for it? Who do I know that can come through for this person? And so that heart posture, that we become kindness to be our default setting, you know, I always say that everybody can do something. You don't have to do a humongous thing to take care of, for example, Elgeyo Marakwet mudslide. You don't have to have it all, but you can do something that lets be touched. In the impact space, it is our heart posture. And I love how you've tackled that question. You know, it's not, when it comes to such, it's not about gender. You know, it has nothing to do with gender. It's all about the heart. You know, I love that. Now, maybe what are some leadership roles or lessons, rather, not roles? What are some leadership lessons you've gotten to acquire over the years that maybe you wish you had learned about while starting out? You know, this is for someone else who's just starting up in the leadership space that they may pick. Okay, number one, not every reader is a leader, but for you to be a good leader, you have to be a reader. And reading exposes you, takes your mind to places maybe where you'll never be, to even situations that you may never encounter, but it gives you that. It gives you that. So reading is inevitable for a leader. Number two, as a leader, you don't have to know it all. Your place of leadership is influence, you know, and I love giving space of collaboration and co-creation, because as I say, leadership is also about followership. I will follow you because there's something I'm getting out of you, but it's also humanly satisfying when you give me space to be me. And so I don't have to know everything, but am I creating a good environment for you to thrive in what you know? So leadership is not about knowing it all, but giving space for collaboration, for co-creation. And finally, I will give a quote that I love. John Quincy Adams says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you're a leader. So leadership is inspiration, is inspiring others. Let them learn more, let them do more, challenge their thinking. And that is what leadership is about. So it's about inspiration.
Very well put there. Have you ever had to navigate spaces where women voices were underrepresented, and how do you go about that? Because also in your line of work, it's more male dominated. I have had those spaces, and I think I'm also very conscious
any space I go, I say, where is a woman voice in this? So I call myself a woman advocate, not in a bad way, but I feel that women voices have to be heard. One case in point is a class that I was taking, and I think out of 13 students, we were only 2 female students. You know, and by default, even answering of questions used to be the male students in the class. And in a way, the 2 of us as ladies, we sort of felt quiet. But one day I said, our voices have to be heard here. We are in this together. We are all learning. And by the end of that class, the 2 of us ladies were equally represented as the 11 gentlemen. And what I say, our voices don't have to be too loud, that even in our softness, we can be heard. I say leadership is about influence. A case in point and how women influence, I give examples that when my dad came home, it was his voice that mattered. But when my mother looked at you, you know, when these visitors leave the house, we have some business to do. That's the influence we have as women. And we need to use our influence well. We're very influential in the way we do things. I don't know if you've heard about that frog. When you put a frog in boiling water, that frog jumps out. But when you put that frog in cold water and gradually warm this water, the frog will still be there even when the water is boiling. And so our influence as women is that gradual. We don't have to be out there, but let's remember our influence. Miles Monroe says that everything has a purpose. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I love how he breaks down the word abuse is abnormal use. And so my call for women is, let's know our normal use of influence. Otherwise we will abuse that influence, and we have seen it happening in our society. Let's be careful to be the people who use our influence correctly.
You're really throwing in nuggets every now and then. I'm sure that our viewers are also learning a thing or two as we move on. Now, before we come to our conclusion, because I can see we have around maybe 4 minutes, before we finish that up, maybe what's that one change you would like to see generally when it comes to leadership? And you know, since the program is more on women, you know, the segment is more on the woman, maybe what are the changes you would love to see in women leadership?
A little more kinder. You know, they say everybody you meet out there is going through something. It may not be written on my face, and especially as women, I always say, if I unmask my makeup, what is there? Imagine if everybody was a little kinder. Doesn't matter whether you have a leadership title or not. Everybody is a leader. Yes, we have leaders with titles, but we have leaders with no titles. And it's about the little things. I will highlight one of the ladies in our office, actually 2 of them. One is the security lady in our office. I kid you not, no matter what I'm carrying, the good morning faith makes a whole lot of difference. That warm welcome. The other one is the one who serves us in the office. Even without telling her, she will see there is need. Maybe Vivian needs a glass of water now. And you know, those needs that sometimes are nonverbal, because women, we have that nurturing in us. They get to see that. So Mary and Maureen are those ones to me. And I say, what if all of us, with leadership titles, without leadership titles, be a little kinder to the people around us? Is it on the roads while driving or while walking? Sometimes we're so absent-minded, you go and hit somebody and you move on. but what if we were a little kinder? And this is to all of us, not just to women, but the world I would love is where we are a little kinder to each other. Yeah.
For the young lady who's watching the show right now and they're aspiring to become leaders, you know, and take up positions, and they're wondering maybe or are unsure of where exactly to start, what would be your tips to that young lady or young gentleman as well?
Yeah, I think the desire is a good one. And so what kind of leader would you want to be? I remember really at my young age, from high school, I became a school prefect. These days, I hear they're governors and they're, you know, they have all those fancy words.
Yes.
And I remember getting that role in day 2 of being a Form 1. And in as much as, yeah, I come from a family where my parents were leaders, but I had to define what kind of leader I am. And from an early age, I had to define what kind of legacy do I want to leave behind. So it's okay to draft, to write, what kind of a leader do I want to be? Of course, there are many people that you can look up to, but define for yourself. Don't define. Yes, you can borrow from Michelle Obama, you can borrow from Wangari Maathai, great women who've done it, great men who've also been, have been able to do it, but write down what you want to be remembered for. Then leave your legacy, that's leave, L-I-V-E, leave your legacy before you leave your legacy. Yes.
I love that. I love that. And that is where we will be ending this conversation. Thank you so very much to each and every one of you who has been tuning in. I am sure you've taken some nuggets of wisdom from Faith. As she was speaking to us, she has really gotten to inspire us, and that is the purpose of this segment. My name is Vivian Degwa. See you next week on Wednesday for the same segment. Don't enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.